Hi, everyone. My name is Zarski. I'm one of the consultants for the CARC Consortia, and I'm pleased today to have a co-presenter with me, Maryann, who has been just a great mentor for me as I worked with her all year this year. And she's going to help unpack a sample kindergarten math kit. I'll let Maryann introduce herself.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Maryann Baden. I've been a teacher with Star Catholic for 20 years. And we kind of came up with this idea of making the sample math kits to make the teacher's job easier. So I hope you enjoy our presentation.
All right. And so the operative word here is sample. This is not a required, it's not showing up in your curriculum document you must have. But as Maryann and I worked through the year, this past school year, we found that there were certain things that we used over and over and over again, and that would relate to whether it's grade 3, grade 2, grade 1, kindergarten, that we just felt if we had them readily available for students rather than having to run around the class, as we did for the first couple of months, collecting materials and putting them out, that it would have been a lot easier for the students to have this access for them. And so this is what we're just wanting to share with you, some possibilities. There are some things to print out, and you will have full access to those at the end of the presentation as well. So let's move forward here. What we'd like to do is kind of divide it into 3 pieces. We're going to kind of give you a content overview. So we've taken a kit, unpacked it, it'll be shown, and Maryann will step you through some of those pieces. And then we're going to unpack some of them a little bit more detail, just because they have a little bit more importance, or maybe just to elaborate how they could be used really intentionally in kindergarten. And then for some of those materials, you probably have a lot of the things that we're going to show you, and that's great, because that's what we're hoping is that they're already in the classroom. But if there are some things that you wanted to know where we got them from, we can show you. We are strong advocates of dollar stores because we don't want to spend a ton of money, and we didn't need to spend a ton of money. So this is our kindergarten kit unpacked, part of it, not all of it, but part of it. So I'm going to get Maryann to just start talking to you about what we see here.
Okay, so for the kindergarten kit, we have the colored dominoes. We have the 3 different colored dice. We have some foam and 3D shapes, as well as some 2D shapes. There's a bag of money, coins and bills. We also have the geometric cards, which show the different shapes that they need to know, as well as these particular ones. When you overlay them, they make different colors, so they can check those out. We have the subitizing cards. We also have a variety of cards at the bottom. So the one is showing different shapes and colors. The second set is asking questions about the picture on the page. So what is the shape? What color is it? We also have the number cards for the kids in there. So it's showing the number, the number in words, as well as a picture. So the kids need to know those numbers. So that we just found that those cards, they can use them on their own. And they're very handy just so the kids can get used to the different numbers.
And in kindergarten, they are working up to 10, and they do need to know the number, and they also need to know the word that goes along with it. We've asked for some clarification as to whether or not they need to know how to spell the word, or simply visually recognize 1 as a word, 2 as a word. And so we'll hopefully clarify those as time goes on. We also have a number of I just put number cards in here. They go to 10. So again, learning to count to 10, visually knowing the numbers. This could be something they do with a partner holding it up, or you hold 2 things up, they pick out the right number and sort of hold it on their forehead, whatever. But just access to them. Again, this is just a sample. You probably have some in your classroom that you can use. And you'll also find that your kit, or you'll have accessible a number of small cards that we just put in a Ziploc bag for the students. They are key terms or pictures that represent key outcomes that they're going to be covering, that students can use as reference. They could use that again as a partner, where they hold it up, they explain it to their partner, or they use it as a quick reference when you ask them to do something. So those are available to you, and we'll show those to you sort of laid out so that you can see them all, and that'll give you a good sense of the terminology that's kind of being worked on for the kindergarten. And then also a number line that begins at 0, which has 0 on it, is important for us to be working on. This particular one comes from Didax. It's a company, educational company. The one side is 10 on it, the other side has 20 on it. So it actually works quite well for kindergarten and grade 1, but certainly would also be helpful for some of your high flyers towards the end of kindergarten. So you see it here. And what you have access to it if this is something that you wanted. We're not advocating it. You could just draw one if that's what you want to do as well. But there are some things about this that makes the number line quite accessible. And maybe I'll get Maryann to talk about what she used it. We had one for 1 to 100 in grade 3 for her, but maybe you just want to talk about that, Maryann.
Yeah. In grade 3, we would use it and put money on our number line. Also with the counting and the skip counting. I know for kindergarten, they need to go up to 10. However, it's nice if they're aware of going to 20. So with those number cards, each kid could have a number card. They could place it on the number line. There's all different kinds of uses that you could do with these. So we used dry erase marker so the kids could mark on there, and it gives you a quick look around the classroom to see who's getting it. You could also put different counters and that on there as well.
So though you're watching a video, you can click this link on, it's active, that gives you the site as to where we order them from. And the money, Maryann, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the money bags are kind of what started this idea. For kindergarten, they do need to count to 10, and we're really focusing on using the money to do their counting. They do need to be aware of the money, of the colors. They also need to be aware of the symbols that are on the different bills and coins. They need to know the value of the coin. But with the money for the kindergartens, it's used to help them count. They need to be able to count to 10. So what does that look like in using money? And also we have included, if you look there at the coins, we have included extra coin in there so that the kids are actually counting it out. So they're not just looking, oh, these are all pennies, there must be 10 here. So we've done that so that they're actually doing the counting. And as well, we have the bin of money at the back, kind of like their bank. So if we need to exchange or fix anything up, we can do that. It saved a lot of time in class, and I can only imagine in kindergarten that would be very valuable.
Yeah, and I think your point's well taken, Maryann. If students all had this exposure from kindergarten and then built on it in grade 1 and built on it in grade 2, it just becomes so powerful as a learning tool for place value, for number, for patterning, for all of those pieces. So we're really trying to advocate that the money should be a manipulative, more so in kindergarten than the money side of it. The money side of it becomes more apparent in grade 1 and definitely skyrockets from there. But as she was saying, for the counting, we really want them to work on their counting to 10, but they have to identify the coins. So we could say, can you show me 6 pennies? So I need to know what a penny is, and then I need to know that I can count to 6. 6 loonies, 6 toonies, and so on. And so that's why you're seeing the numbers that you do. But there will be some students, certainly, that are able to count to 10 already. And if they knew that there were only 10 in the bag, they would just pull them out and not actually count them if that's what we were looking for. So hence the extras. And I put 11 here, but to be honest with you, in the bags that I made for students, I just randomly added extra coins. I didn't even count how many extra pennies or dimes I put in. There's just extras in there so that it forces them to have to count. So these are the cards that we were talking about that are in a small little Ziploc bag. Just a snack bag is what they fit into. And it gives students access to some of the most important concepts that you're going to be covering as the year goes on. They could use it as reference. They could use it as a math talk with another student. You could use it as a math talk in the class. And we've also included a few other things in there, as in they are supposed to know the difference between straight and curved. But we also went one step further and put straight lines and named the different kinds of lines so that it gives you a little bit more of a conversation piece about what do I see in the classroom that's a straight line. Well, lots of walls, lots of connections with the walls, lots of corners, lots of countertops, edges of tables, etc. However, then we could actually ask them which ones go horizontally, and we could use those terms. We're not going to assess them on it, but we could definitely use them. So one of the assessments that I have created for kindergarten has a t-shirt on it, and it shows them a picture of a shirt and which lines on the shirt are horizontal, which ones are verticals, which ones are slanted, so that they're finding lines as opposed to which ones are curved that it asks about over the shoulders and so on. So it just gives you lots of opportunities to help them to really think a little bit deeper other than just two terms. These are the subitizing cards that we were referring to earlier. They are bagged. They are from all different kinds of things on them. Fingers, hashtags are on them. You've got dot patterns on them. And really, the research has shown that students who can subitize, in other words, quickly identify the value of something at a glance without going through and counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Learn math facts much quicker than students who can't subitize. So it's an absolute benefit for us to use those as much as we can. And you could certainly call these and start small. Anything that goes from, let's say, 0 to 1 to 3. 1 to 5, then go to 6, then go to 7. So you could make these accordingly. Or as some kindergarten teachers, they just let them all go and turn them over. And if they don't know to subitize to 4 yet, they may count the first couple of times, but then they learn that this is 4. So it's kind of learning by doing as they go along. So the more we can do with that, the better. The more that we can do in kindergarten, the easier grade 1 becomes when they do math facts that go up to 20, because then I can turn 2 over and ask them to add them together. I can do that in grade 3, for example, with Maryann doing multiplication. 2 cards get turned over. What's the product of those 2 numbers? Again, if I have to count each of them first and then figure out the answer, it really slows things down. So it's that mental math that we really want them to be working on. You also have a template for composing and decomposing numbers. So again, I would just pull these off and laminate them so students have access to them. You could do money on here. You could do 5 pennies. I have 2 down here. What am I missing? I can do Cuisinart rods on here. I could do base 10 blocks on here. There's all kinds of different ways that I can use that for my number as well. So this gives you a visual of some of the possibilities that you're going to see on the subitizing cards. They include rec and recs on them, which come in groups of 5 and then +2. So again, it just gives them that visual. Can they recognize 5 and then 6, 7? Can they count on from there? Do you want to talk about these ones, Maryann?
So these are some of the items we got from the dollar store. And again, in kindergarten, we're focusing on counting. So the clock is there. They will need to know the clock in the future grades, but it is good for them to count on. So they can count the hours, they can count the 5 minutes or the minutes, the 5 minutes in between. We've also included the dominoes. They're color coded, the ones that we got from the Dollar Tree. They're not always, the color coding doesn't matter, just that they're kind of fun. We also have number cards in here from 0 to 100. So the kids have a chance to see the numbers as well as in writing as well. So in the word form and numeral form. And then we have some geometry cards that have the different shapes and as well are transparent. So when they overlay, they make a new color. So the kids always get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Here we have our foam pieces that are included in the kit. We got those from Dollarama, as well as the different colored dice. So if they have the different colors, then we can do different games and that with those. And again, just to practice addition and subtraction, those cards in there their kit as well.
And some of these you may need to cull. You know, if I go back to this one here, you're not going to necessarily want 100, but you may have some high flyers and you might want to have some opportunities for them to go from 10 to 20, or maybe you've got somebody who knows to 20 and they can go to 30. So having them on hand for sure would be helpful, but they are also part of the grade 1 kit as well. And so here are the cards that we were showing you that you've got templates for, and you can just print them out. They got that curved surface, and that's why we gave those foam geo shapes that were at the beginning of the slide, so that they can feel what the rounded shape looks like and see it, and that it can roll, and that a flat surface doesn't roll, and it just slides, and so on. So again, you see the different types of lines, the terminology that's important: heavier, lighter, shorter, longer. And then too big, too small. They might be able to recognize some of that if they've had some tight shoes. They do talk about area, but in terms of only how much is covered, is there more covered or less covered? Again, with different shapes and things that they can use to do that. Length is something that they look at. They can refer it to a number. It doesn't necessarily have to be a ruler. It could be just a comparison of which is longer and which is shorter. And we talk about capacity. You also have a card for each of the coins so that they can just identify them. You could write the value on the back of them if they wanted to, just so that you have that available as well. And this shows you the kit complete with everything in it. So we were looking for something that fit into a cubby hole or into a desk without taking up tons of space in the desk. And so we got these containers from Dollarama. This is the size right here. So I've just got it on there for you. And this is the code number. They've got a couple that are 2.4 liters, I found, but they're not all quite the same design. So I've given you that piece as well to help you out. And so those are available at Dollarama, easy to buy, and go from there. Is there anything else that we want to add in there, Maryann?
The one thing that we could add in, and I found that would be helpful, is for each of the kids to have their own different game piece. Because throughout the math, we're always playing little games and doing different things. So if they have their own game piece, it could be something they make in art, or just random little horses or toys or whatever, that they could have their own game piece to put in there, just to save time when we're organizing.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I think in kindergarten, that might be even more important because they can just identify to that one piece. It makes it so much easier. Yeah, good point. And so when you click on the here, you will find that you have your masters. This will come up. You just have to make a copy of them, download a copy to your desktop, and you can print these out and use them or not. They are in Word form, the cards. So if you want to add additional shapes or words or not use them all, that would be entirely up to you. You'd have options there for sure. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of a starting point for kindergarten and gets you going on some of the pieces. There will be lots more that we're going to provide for resources for kindergarten. So when it comes to the money pieces in particular to get you started, just keep an eye out for that, and we'll have things available for you. So hopefully this has been helpful for you, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.